From the glories of the ancient Egypt and Greece to the Middle Ages Renaissance works, from statues which belong to the ancient Rome to the modern shiny bronze spear, Vatican Museums has more than 20,000 artifacts in display. Let's explore some of the important collection. Before we start, check out my video on Vatican City Travel Guide for information about the opening hours, best time to visit, and where to book the tickets. As you enter the museum, you will pass by the security check. There are locker rooms available on the right for free. If you have luggage, you can store and collect them on your return. Vatican Museums was once the residence of the popes. It has a collection of priceless artifacts from ancient world to modern contemporary art. In the mid-1800s, they renovated the residence of the popes to become Vatican Museums and opened the doors to public. With more than 20 galleries, the museum is about 7 kilometers long. In this virtual tour, we will start with the rare statues of ancient Egypt, Greece, and Rome. Then we will walk the hallway of the Pope's luxury palaces, admiring glorious tapestries, gallery of maps, painted ceilings, and large-scale frescoes by Raphael. The Sistine Chapel is at the end of the Vatican Museum, which we will see in the next video. As we reach the top, we have three bays: Pinecone Courtyard on the left, the Pinacoteca on the right, and an open balcony in the front. Most of the artifacts are accessible by turning to the left. Before that, let's enter the balcony. Here, you can have a view of Square Garden and the St. Peter's Basilica's dome. The St. Peter's Basilica, what we see now, was constructed in 1500s, commissioned by the Pope Julius II. The old St. Peter was built in 4th century by Roman Emperor Constantine. Here, we can see the pictures of Sistine Chapel. Inside the chapel, it's not allowed to take pictures, so they are made available here for the guides to explain them before they go inside. Let's continue inside the museum. We turn right to enter the Pinecone Courtyard. The Pinecone Courtyard is a huge open-air square dominated by a shiny bronze spear and a giant green pine cone. The pine cone is 2000 years old. It originally stood near the Pantheon to honor Isis, the Egyptian goddess of fertility. In Christian times, this big bronze statue was moved to the entrance of the old St. Peter's Church. During the Renaissance, it was brought here to decorate this courtyard. The bronze spear in the center of the courtyard was made by the sculptor Arnaldo Pomodoro in 1990. There is a lot of interpretations it represents. It might be the cosmos or the earth surrounded by the heavens. From here, if you take the exit on the right, you can skip the Egyptian Museum. Most of the guided tours do skip the Egyptian Museum as they have limited time. We'll take the exit on the left and we'll visit them. The Pope Gregory XIV ordered all the Egyptian and Egyptianized artifacts in the Pontifical State, as well as those in the Roman antique markets, be gathered together in a new museum in the Vatican. The Pontifical States, or the Papal States, was the central region of Italy ruled by the popes from mid-700 AD to 1870, which included Rome, Florence, and some parts of Venice. With the passing of years, the museum has been further enriched by gifts from private donors. The halls were once the private apartments of Pope Pius VIII. The collection has materials from Roman Egypt and also Egyptianized style objects. Many monuments arrived in the ancient Rome city on the order of emperors for the decoration of buildings, sanctuaries, and villas, such as the group of statues from Horti Salustien. There are also many Egyptian works made in Rome representing the culture of pharaohs, which were excavated from the Hadrian's villa in Tivoli. As you exit the Egyptian collection, on your right you will see a hallway full of statues, portraits of some Roman kings and women during ancient times. We'll have a quick view of the statues as there are a lot more to be covered. The famous of them are the statues of the first Roman Emperor Augustus Caesar and the Nile River. You can spend a whole day inside the Vatican Museum, but we are trying to focus on popular artifacts which would be covered in any guided tour of Vatican. Once you reach up the stairs, pause and glance to the right to have a great view of the city of Rome. After a few steps ahead, we enter the octagonal courtyard. You get a sense of a palace with classic architecture and a fountain in the middle lined up with ancient statues. This octagonal courtyard was where popes would entertain VIPs by showing off their fine collection of artifacts. We will start with the statue immediately at the left side of the arcade. It's a handsome nude man with one arm outstretched. This is Apollo Belvedere. Apollo, the Greek god, is in the posture of hunting. His bow and arrow are missing, but this Apollo is 2000-year old, done by a Greek sculptor, Praxiteles. Apollo looks like he is gently coming to rest with his weight on one leg. His pose is natural with face forward instead of standing at attention. He looks realistic like a living, breathing human being and also idealized with godlike features. When Greece was eventually conquered by Rome, Greek culture was appropriated by the Romans. In fact, this Apollo is a Roman copy of a Greek original. It inspired the Renaissance artists. In fact, when Michelangelo was painting the face of Jesus for his Last Judgment in the Sistine Chapel, his model was none other than the Apollo. Take a few steps to the right in the niche. You will see a bearded old Roman river god in reclining pose. This statue belongs to 2nd century and was found during the time of Pope Leo X. While restoring the statue, they added lion face in the vase so as to symbolize the Pope Leo. This ancient statue also inspired Michelangelo in his Sistine Chapel. He used this river god pose for the figure of Adam, reclining and reaching out to accept the spark of life from the fingers of God. Now take a few more steps to the right. You will find a statue of a man and his two sons wrestling with snakes. It's Laocoon. The statue depicts a famous scene from the mythical Trojans War. Laocoon was a priest of god Apollo. He tried to warn his people that Trojan's horse, sent by the Greeks, is a trick to get into the city. But no one believed him. And since the Trojans were on the Greek side, they sent huge snakes to crush Laocoon and his two sons to death. This figure was carved from 4 blocks of marbles, joined together seamlessly. Some findings say it dates back from 30 BC. The sculpture captured the scene at its most intense moment. The poses are as twisted as possible, focusing every rippling muscle and bulging vein. In 1506, the statue was unexpectedly unearthed near the Colosseum. It had a considerable impact on the art history. It inspired Michelangelo to ample up his figures with more motions and emotion, which he used it while working on Sistine Chapel. As you browse around this courtyard, you will see what looked like a fancy stone bathtubs. Most of these are sarcophagi, that is, a coffin to hold the bones of ancient Romans. Some have the carvings on the sides, like the funeral oration, in picture form. Let's leave the courtyard and pass through the Hall of Animals. It holds ancient statues which has been much restored in order to present a stone zoo. With the passing of time, The other statues of rare animals were made and added to the original collection in 18th century. These statues shows the ability of the artist of those days to compete with the masters of the ancient world. Now, let's continue straight ahead to the next hall, the Hall of Moses. The hall has a series of sculptures that has been found in the Villa of Cassio, near Tivoli. At the center of the hall, you will see a headless and limbless body, the Belvedere torso. This is all that remains of an ancient statue. It shows a powerful man seated on an animal skin. It might be Hercules, no one's quite sure. If you look closer at the base, you can see that it's signed by a sculptor named Apollonius from the 1st century BC. Michelangelo was impressed with the knotted lumps of muscle and its slight turn to pose. He used it for the torso of Jesus in the Last Judgment. So in the Sistine Chapel, Jesus has the body of Taurus and the face of Apollo, and the Adam is a reclining river god. Let's continue on to the next domed room, the Sala Rotonda, the round room. This is inspired by the Pantheon in Rome. It has a dome like Pantheon and the artifacts from ancient Rome. The large purple basin that dominates the room is over 15 feet in diameter and was carved from a single block of stone. This Roman basin decorated Emperor Nero's golden house. It's unclear whether it was a mere decoration or used as a hot tub. The thing is so big that when it was moved to the Vatican in the 18th century, this room has to be built around it. The purple stone is called porphyry, and it's extremely valuable. This particular variety is called imperial porphyry because of its deep purple color. In ancient times, purple was the color of royalty. The mosaic floor we are walking over is 1700 years old. It shows a battle and a series of marine figures. It once used to decorate the bottom of a pool in a public bath. Enter the next room and pause at two more examples of the precious purple stone. These two large sarcophagi were made in the 4th century, but not used. They were made for the mother, and the daughter of Roman Emperor Constantine. Daughter Constanza's sarcophagi is on the right, decorated with cupids, and that of Mother Helena's is on the left, which depicts a battle soldiers. Helena and Constanza were two of the first openly Christian nobles in Rome. In the year 310, Emperor Constantine made Christianity legal, and they eventually became saints. Continue straight ahead and climb up the next level, Gallery of the Candelabra. Take a moment before you enter the gallery. Behind you, it's Museo Gregoriano, dedicated to Etruscan antiquities. The collection follows a long history of Etruscan people from the Iron Age until the 5th century, displayed in 22 rooms. This tour won't visit this collection. I will post in a separate video, and you can skip this if you have a limited time in Vatican. After a few meters walk down the gallery, on the right there is a statue of a woman whose dress is covered in strange spherical objects. This was the statue of Roman goddess Artemis. Romans prayed to her as a goddess of fertility. That's why she is covered with all these stylish breasts, to show her as a giver of life. Some historians say that these are testicles of bulls. On the opposite wall is a statue of Diana, the virgin goddess. Hunters would pray and give offerings to Diana to help them find food. It's said that in ancient times many of these statues would have been painted in color, but time and weather have eroded away these colors. Now let's continue along the next gallery. We entered the Gallery of Tapestries. It's a long hallway lined with tapestries depicting the scenes from the life of Christ. These tapestries were created by the students of Raphael. First, they painted the scenes on paper, full size and full color. Then, sent to famous weaving factories in Brussels. There, they were cut up into manageable strips and placed on the looms. The Vatican tapestries are remarkable for their lifelike realism, almost like oil paintings. Notice the tiny details and subtle changes in color.
Come arrivo qua, vedi, fai la scelta. Ok, allora che faccio?
Most dramatic are the tapestries showing the episodes when all the baby boys were slaughtered by King Herod to prevent the rise of Messiah. On the way down the hall onto the left, there is a tapestry that depicts the resurrection. It shows Jesus striking out the doorway of the tomb. As you walk past, Watch how Jesus follows you across the room. His eyes, feet, knee, and even the stone slab seems to be following you as you passed by. The ceiling is covered with beautiful sculptured relief, cameo-like scenes carved into the frames. In fact, these are not reliefs at all. They are painted on flat surface. Popes loved illusion like this to entertain their guests. For the artists who made them, this was proof that they have mastered the challenge of 3D realism. As we continue, we enter the Gallery of Maps. Admire the colorful ceiling. It's made up of molded stucco or plaster that's been painted. Scenes in the frames portray exciting moments in the church history. The 40 maps on the walls shows the regions of Italy as they were in 1500s. The maps shows the regions from south to north, from the entrance to the hall end. East Italy is on the right, west on the left wall. These maps actually functioned as the Vatican's official maps from 1582. Notice how some have a detailed map of the region's major city. Walk along to stop at Latvian. Here you can see how Rome used to be in 1500s. It shows the old St. Peter's Basilica, Colosseum, and other major monuments. As you stroll, keep an eye out of a window. Where you can catch a view of outside, that's Vatican Garden. What you see from here is pretty much the entire country, the gardens and the palace. You can see the Vatican City's own radio station. That's the tower on the hill. A few steps further, along the left wall, is a map of entire peninsula of Italy in the 16th century. Compare that with the map on the right wall showing Italy as it was in ancient times. Finally, before you exit the gallery, find the map of the city situated on an island, shaped like a fish. It's Venice. From here, we are heading to the Raphael rooms. As you approach the end of the room, turn to the left. We'll continue that in the part 2.